Hi, PerspectiveWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Thursday, October 8th. Hurricane Delta is a Category 2 storm this morning and has a chance to re-intensify into a major hurricane over the next 12 to 24 hours or so. It looks like it's going to make landfall late Friday evening in much the same area that was hit by Hurricane Laura earlier in this tropical season during the month of August. That's the southwestern part of Louisiana near the Texas-Louisiana border region. It'll weaken rather quickly once it makes landfall, but turn to the north and east and produce some significant rainfall, first in the deep south and the Tennessee Valley, maybe even into the mid-Atlantic region by the second half of the upcoming weekend in the Sunday to Monday time frame for the mid-Atlantic region. Here is the latest position of Hurricane Delta and the storm track as predicted by the National Hurricane Center. It cut across the northeastern part of the Yucatan Peninsula region yesterday, which did weaken it. It had peaked at a Category 4 status before its encounter with the landmass of the Yucatan Peninsula, weakened all the way down to a Category 1, and now is a Category 2 in this position right here, sitting over still rather warm waters of the southern part of the Gulf of Mexico. It will likely intensify over the next 12 to 24 hours or so, possibly back to Category 3 status or so. It is in an environment of low wind shear, again, sitting on top of warm surface waters, and there's plenty of moisture around as well. Those favorable conditions may allow it to re-intensify into a Category 3 hurricane. Then it'll start encountering some cooler than normal sea surface temperatures across the northern part of the Gulf of Mexico, and hopefully that'll act to weaken Delta before it makes landfall again sometime late Friday afternoon, Friday evening, probably in the southwestern part of Louisiana. Again, a similar area to what was impacted directly by Hurricane Laura earlier this season. And then it turns to the north and east, produces some heavy rainfall across the deep south, the Tennessee Valley, and ultimately into the mid-Atlantic region. Well, speaking of sea surface temperatures, here is a look at the current sea surface temperature anomalies across the western Atlantic basin, the Gulf of Mexico right here. Again, the storm really intensified right in this region right here yesterday over warmer than normal waters of the western Caribbean Sea, cut across the northeastern part of the Yucatan Peninsula, and is in a position right around here right now. And again, as it pushes towards the Louisiana coastline, it will encounter some cooler than normal waters, and these waters have really been cooler than normal from prior upwelling events, such as with Hurricane Laura early in the tropical season. So hopefully that will produce some weakening of Delta in the hours before it makes landfall late tomorrow night in the southwestern part of Louisiana. At least that's what it looks like at the current time. Well, here's the latest infrared satellite imagery loop from the College of DuPage website, and of course using NOAA's weather satellite. A pretty symmetrical looking storm right now, not a real apparent eye. We'll see if that forms over the next 12 to 24 hours or so. Again, it's completely over the water now, having bypassed the northeastern part of the Yucatan Peninsula. This ought to help it to intensify some, not only with the warm sea surface temperatures in the Gulf of Mexico, but perhaps more importantly, low vertical wind shear and a deep moisture content. Again, a symmetrical looking storm, basically moves northwest over the next several hours, and then it'll start to turn to the north and ultimately to the north and east, likely headed for landfall right in this region right here near the Texas-Louisiana border region, maybe just to the east of there in the southwestern part of Louisiana, late Friday night time frame. Well, before we take a look at the GFS model run from last night, here's the 5-day forecast by NOAA for total precipitation over the next 5 days, basically encompassing the entire period that Hurricane Delta will affect the southern and eastern U.S. And really, you can tell the likely storm track with this particular map of total precipitation amounts, again, headed towards the Texas-Louisiana border region. Then it'll start to become influenced by an upper level trough and turn to the north and east, spreading heavy rains into the Tennessee Valley. And ultimately, probably in the Sunday, Monday time frame, could be some decent rainfall in the mid-Atlantic region as well. Again, that looks like Sunday, perhaps into Monday for the mid-Atlantic region. But this is the likely storm track of Hurricane Delta, and then the remnants of Delta once it comes inland. Again, it will weaken, but its significant rainfall will continue in the Deep South, the Tennessee Valley, and ultimately into the mid-Atlantic region. Well, let's take a look at the model run from the GFS, the operational version of the GFS at 6E. Here is the position of Delta right now, moving northwest about 15, 16 miles per hour. Again, it'll continue on a northwest track and then start to turn more to the north and ultimately to the north and east, with high pressure now dominating the scene across the northern U.S. Let's move forward here. Expected landfall late tomorrow into tomorrow night, right in the same region that was impacted directly by Hurricane Laura earlier in the tropical season. Then that high pressure shifts off the eastern seaboard at that time. This is the Friday evening forecast map. And again, some heavy rainfall across Arkansas, the Tennessee Valley region, and after it impacts the Deep South, and ultimately high pressure builds across the northeastern U.S., and the remnants of Delta look like they'll result in some significant rainfall across the mid-Atlantic region. Again, we're probably looking at Sunday into Sunday night, maybe even into early Monday across the mid-Atlantic region. And then that finally moves off on Monday, and a strong cold front cuts across the Great Lakes region with some very chilly air for this time of the year. This is a Tuesday morning forecast map. Certainly chilly across the Great Lakes and the south central part of Canada. A strong cold front heads towards the eastern seaboard by the middle part of next week. So all eyes on Delta. Currently a Category 2 storm. Could become a major hurricane again, which is defined as a Category 3 or above. Probable landfall in the southwestern part of Louisiana late tomorrow night. Could bring some decent rainfall, not only in the Deep South after it makes landfall, but over the Tennessee Valley and then the Mid-Atlantic region by the latter part of the upcoming weekend. That's it for now. For PerspectiveWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.